Okay. Put this in here. Okay, guys. I have a little agenda here, a little piece of paper that we'll go over some of these stuff. A lot of these are like matrix stuff that I'm gonna go over real quickly. So hopefully I'm not spending too much time on the matrix. So if you see something that you really like or say, hey, I need more training on that, just write it down and then I can sit down with you. Okay, because again, I'm not gonna be able to spend too much time on matrix. I'm just gonna go over it real quickly, and then later on, if you need time, I can sit down with you. I also have videos that we can use, but some of these are really great for like a resource nurse, like data manager, but also there's some things in here that I'll go over in terms of charting goes. Okay, in terms of staffing, we have a couple of nurses that are coming in. Peter has gone per diem, and then we've added a lot more RNs in our staffing, and most of that is going to be going to our knock position. So, for example, Mr. Ruiz over here is going to be doing knock per diem, and he's going to be helping us out mostly with like med pass until he gets more comfortable, and then hopefully in the near future, if he wants to pick up some more of the resource nurse, um, we would that would be available for him. We have some full-time, obviously, resource nurses available, and right at the moment we have JR, who also is a new RN that's coming in knock, and so we'll have two male RNs that's going to be a knock. So hopefully one of them will pick up the full-time RN, and that brings us up to some of the workload that the resource nurse are going to be doing for knock. It's a work in progress. A lot of those are going to be audits, like admission audits, care planning, audits of narcotics. Make sure that our nurses are reconciling these meds correctly, giving the meds correctly. But not only that, like our med cards doesn't have expired medication. Bottom bladder is a work in progress. We've gotten some deficiencies on that, and so hopefully we'll be able to get our CNAs to chart on that more efficiently. But a lot of the knock RN's workload we haven't really implemented yet. So so it's mostly training for the most part in terms of how what the RNs are doing for knock. But care planning is definitely like following up on admission, not only like an admission that happened within the last 24, but within the last week or so, because a lot of those care plans are not going to be picked up, and so we're hoping our knock RNs are going to be able to pick those up. Um, the end of shift reporting, we've had some issues with end of shift reporting, so just making sure that all of our resource nurses are adding that in the 24-hour log, and then when you're giving your report to the next nurse, make sure you're giving a thorough type of reporting, because a lot of this reporting goes and kind of trickles down on our stand up, and so we need good reporting from knock to the resource nurse, and then we hear it too, like every morning, Monday through Friday, our stand-up team, along with Jaw and PT, we talk about what happened on knock shift. So it's really important to communicate well what's going on, not only in the knock but PM and AM as well, right? Um, there's also a way to do end of shift reporting on Matrix that I'm going to go over quickly. So if you're one of your nurses are going home early and can't do shift to shift type reporting, you can add that on Matrix directly. So that's something that I'm going to go over for a few minutes, and then if you have more questions on that later, I'll go over that later. Okay. Our resource nurse needs to be checking teams all the time. So whether you're an LVN or an RN, it's your responsibility to check teams to make sure that there's no new orders just sitting there, right? So PM nurses might be going home at 11 o'clock, and you never know. Dr. Mann might be on there. Hey, start this order, or maybe the resource nurse on PM just got really busy and a new order came in at 10:30 because she texted Dr. Mann or whatever on Teams at 8 o'clock, and she happened to miss it. So make sure when you log in as a resource nurse, you're going under the skilled nursing email and you're checking that team's email, because there could be new orders in there. There's dietary stuff that's on there. There's a lot of groups that's on that team's email that we should be checking in terms of a resource nurse. So please be checking on those to make sure that all of our bases are covered. A lot of times too, like Erica will put some recommendations or orders on there. Okay. And I forgot to mention here in terms of staffing goes, we do have a new medical record that's going to be coming in on October 15th. And so he's going to be doing some auditing, and he's got background. So I'm really looking forward for him to start. In terms of auditing goes, the person that's sitting there right now is one of our CNA, and he's really good too in terms of like just being really good on computer. But he's doing audits right now on weekly summary, so that should be coming out soon. We have a bunch of weekly summaries that are missed, and so I really want him to kind of look at that in the last just like 30 days. But we also have a new PT director, physical therapy director, and so Jalinda, as you know, has retired, and we have a new individual that's coming in on that end. Um, End of shift, checking orders. Does anybody have any questions on how to access in terms of Teams and emails? The only person that doesn't do Teams right now is Dr. Shahal. All your doctors are going to be on Teams. Okay, remember that the fallback would be phone calls. You can't get a hold of doctors and the Teams or whatever, and this is for any doctors. You should be calling them, right? If you have a significant lab results that requires an attention within the next hour, you should be calling them. You shouldn't be going on Teams, right? So Teams is great, but if you need to get hold of the doctor, give them a buzz, give them a call. Okay, Dr. Shahal, um, if and you, oh yeah, that's right, Yuhas as well. I'm sorry, Dr. Yuhas is also needs to be called. Labs for Dr. Shahal or Yuhas needs to be faxed over. We can't be like pushing that over in Elevate or any other way. Emails, we can't do emails. Just remember HIPAA. A lot of these we can't like email information in terms of lab results. If you take out their name, social security, date of birth, all that stuff that's related to the patient, it's fine. So long as you call the doctor and say, hey, I'm gonna send you some lab results. This is what it looks like. There's no name, there's no none of that. I'm gonna cross it all out, but this is what the labs look like. You can call me back for new orders. Just don't put the names on there. Okay. In terms of like PHI, so any like last name, any phone number, social security address, any of that stuff can be go back to the patient is gonna be a breach. So don't do that in terms of email goes. The only platform that's safe is gonna be your Teams. This one I just titled complaints and issues. There's a number of them. Oxygen storage, dump and dirty linen closet. So we have oxygen, used oxygen that can't be brought over to the dirty linen. We have to bring that back over here. And remember, if you're a nurse, don't send your CNAs over there to grab oxygen. They can't like grab it from there. Okay, our nurses has to take out oxygen and put it back. We get deficiencies from life and safety from almost every year because our oxygen is left open or somehow it's not like organized properly. So if you have an oxygen, right, it can't be left out in the middle of the room. It's got to be in a container, right? And that's a big deficiency for us. And it seems like and most of this is probably being done by somebody who's not familiar with oxygen and how to store it, and it's likely the CNA. So our policy here at Seacrest is we don't allow CNAs to mess around with these oxygen. Okay, especially getting out from that room. Okay, scheduled days, schedules and days off. I'm not sure why I have this on here. It must have been from the last meeting, but you already know that Gurley has is our staffing coordinator. I know that we have some new nurses here, but also for our new nurses that might be listening on this recorded um, recorded whatever iPad that I have here. Um, there's a phone number that's specific to staffing. We can text her. If you have a call off, make sure you're calling to the nursing station and also texting Gurley. Okay, and I'll go over to if there's a registry on how to look at information on registry, right? How to log in and out. There's passwords and stuff like that. There's a GHC nurses and how to reference. I think Yvonne made this folder, which is really nice. But on here, there's registry at the very end here, and it gives you direction on how to log in into the website of Medley and Clipboard. Medley and Clipboard is the only registry platform that we use, and so if there's call off is under registry, you'll be able to see that I sent an email on how to log into these platforms. And so if it's in the middle of the night and we have a registry called off, and just like, hey, John's not picking up and Gurley's not picking up, you guys can log in and actually call these individuals. Okay, so and so this is actually a really good book or folder that one of our nurses made throughout the last couple of months. it covers a lot of things in there as a resource nurse, so we can use that. um, but yeah, the main thing is you calling the nursing station and texting Girly. If you're sitting at the nurse's desk, it's in the middle of the night, you can also just text whoever's working the following day. Just send out a text message to who's scheduled in terms of LVNs and CNA, and just say, hey, do you want to come in early? And then send out a text to me or Girly to see if we can get anybody. But for the most part, if we're really short, we don't have nurses. We're just gonna have to work with what we got. Like the other day, Sam was passing meds. We had the resource passing meds, and then we have admission nurses that are coming in, and they kind of work with what we have. But there's gonna be people that are gonna be sick. We had two call offs yesterday, and we had to do what we had to do. And thank you, Sam, for stepping in. Um, so just communicating, make sure that we're communicating to the right person. Break times, make sure you guys are looking at break times, AM, PM, or knock. You have to take your break before the fifth hour. Um, Admin and payroll is really stepping up their games in terms of people missing their breaks. It's we have a significant amount of nurses and CNA that are missing their breaks within 2 minutes or 3 minutes. If you're clocking in at 6, you have to count 5 hours. So within your fifth hour, before your fifth hour, it could be 4 hours, right? It could be 4 hours. You can take your break just so long as you're not going above the fifth hour. Once you go beyond the fifth hour, you get an automatic overtime on payroll, and so they're counting all these overtime and making sure that nobody is not taken advantage of. But we want to make sure that you're responsible enough to know that, hey, make sure you take your breaks before the fifth hour. And I know things happen as a resource nurse, but we're gonna have, but these things that like they some of these comments, like I had orders and stuff like that. These orders, if they're not an emergent order, the orders can wait. Okay, if we have patients that are bleeding on the floor or fall down or whatever, sending them out, fine. But if we have if the comments is just, hey, I have orders to carry, seriously, these orders can wait. Go take your break before the fifth hour. Okay. So I know it's very firm, but that's the message we're getting from admin as well. Okay, because me and Jar are kind of just hearing a lot of this of taking your break. Your nurses are taking too many. You're missing their breaks too often. Um, we've had some issues with with phones for specifically knock shift. Um, when the front desk calls and this could be PM too, and I think but Regina at one point was complaining that the when she calls up front, that the phone lines doesn't ring, it's on silent. So just make sure that, like, and it could be from the PM, it's transferring over to the knock. The phone cannot be silent. Okay, that emergency radio has to be turned on as well. So if there's an emergency up front, they can't get a hold of you, the radio has to be on. So make sure that's not turned off. Make sure it's on all the time. So we have our own radio, GHC radio, but we also have a facility wide radio. Okay, that should be on at all times. Don't turn it down. Don't turn the phone down. If you have to take a break, make sure that the phone is transferred over to the portable, and we have to rotate it to one of these LVNs that are passing meds or whatnot. But the phones can't be left alone because we have family members that are calling. Ja a lot of times is complaining too that, hey, I'm trying to call in and I can't get a hold of any nurse. And we have 4 nurses on a PM shift or whatnot. But if you are taking a break, we can't leave that station, on its own. Take the phone and give it to one of the LVNs. So somebody has to always pick up the phone, and we're open 24/7, so there's no excuse why we're not picking up these phones as well. Um, there has been some issue as well with the missing items like cups and whatever, the coffee mug that was gone, and so um, the admission nurse Desiree, she's got that little room over here in the charting room. Um, she's missing some cups, and I guess somebody had thrown it away, and here's the thing, it's very specific, like we know what shift it is, and we don't know exactly who the staff is, but we know that it's happened on the PM and knock shift. So keep your eyes open, guys, like in terms of like, and the other day too in the kitchen, somebody went into the kitchen and took a bunch of food or whatever and left the whole kitchen kind of dirty. I'm sure you guys saw my text. And that's coming from dietary complaining that, hey, somebody went in here, took a bunch of food, and then like left everything a mess. So I mean, you could take certain things on there, just make sure that you're keeping it nice and clean, and because there's rats and everything else that could go into it. Um, But also just be mindful that some of these foods are being used in the following day, so it's being prepared so morning shift when they come in they can prepare for breakfast or whatnot. um, and then so just kind of pay attention to your CNAs and your staff. Okay, you're more than welcome to text me if you see anything that's out of the ordinary and kind of funky or whatever. You can report it to me or Ja. But we shouldn't be throwing away coffee maker. That's crazy to me. um, Okay, communication issues. We've had some issues with how to communicate with residents and family members. Some of our staff are saying, "Hey, this continues to happen. I hear this all the time." Family said that, "Hey, you know what? I heard you guys are short today," or the CNA said, or the nurse said, "Hey, we have a call off, so we're I'm sorry I didn't get here in time." There's there's a different way to say that and communicate with residents and family members. And saying you're short and struggling, they don't care if you're short and struggling, right? Like it's just gonna make the situation worse. So just say, hey, I apologize, I'm late, but I'm here now. What can I do for you? What can I do for your loved ones, right? But by throwing more fuel in the fire, it's not gonna help you for that shift. It's not gonna help the next shift. For the following day, it might even get worse. So kind of like mitigate the issue by just saying the right thing, communicating the right phrase. And so, and a lot of these, like as I mentioned with some of our CNAs, is that we have to build that bridge between us and the family members. At some point, one of us, none of us in here are perfect. We're gonna make a mistake, we're gonna slip. So it's really important to make a good um, relationship with these family members, right? And you don't have to kiss their toes or whatever, but you got to communicate right. Hey, how you doing? Is there everything going well? Is the CNA's taking care of your mom? Um, that's how you really handle a lot of these situations. It'll come back to you. But if you have a good relationship with a family member, some of your issues are gonna be pretty easy when they come along, right? Yes, ma'am.
Saying I'm sorry goes a long way.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I couldn't get here sooner. Instead of giving an excuse, people respond well to I'm sorry.
Yeah. So communication can either make you or break you, right? You have an 8 hour shift, not only today, but the following day. So if you have some issues with family members, if you think that, hey, you know what, I don't have time to deal with these family members, man, like, but you know what, the next day you might be coming back again. Maybe next week you might be coming back. And you're going to be dealing with that same resident with the same behavior. And so it's just really important to kind of understand that, hey, you know what, it's just easier to kind of just like deal with this now and just be a good person, right? Just like treat these patients the way you want to be treated. Family members, I understand some of them are very confused. Yes, family members, they're very difficult, but you're gonna have to kind of like be the better person and say, hey, you know what, these are our policy though. This is not my policy, but let me help you out by doing this. Okay, let me go over to my boss, right, to Ja, my DON. Let me run this through with her. Okay, instead of losing your grip, losing your mind over it, um, have somebody else handle it. And it can wait maybe next week. It's like, hey, I understand you're frustrated, and these are apologize, these are not my rules. I just, these are a policy, but I'll have the DON call you. Okay, if it's really that difficult, we'll have, we even have Carl that will step in and help us out. So so don't make it worse than what it is. Communication, like I said, is really really important. Try to make it a habit to make good communication with you, your patient, or family member. Phones, we talked about this already. Resident issues, pain management. This one is a big issue as well. Make sure that patients are coming in status post surgery, they have routine pain meds. Okay, it doesn't have to be the resource nurse. You could be a nurse that's working in the South Hall, West or East. They've been here for 2 days. You're giving PRN meds every 6 hours. You should probably look at to see if there's routine meds, right? Like the resource nurse might have missed it, but as a nurse passing meds, you're absolutely uh, also responsible for that resident. Status post surgery, it's like an automatic. You should have something more routine. You've been here for a few days. You're taking this PRN every 6 hours. You take it 4 times a shift. It's time to take actions, right? You're taking it maybe 2 times a shift, one a shift. Maybe they start doing this. And it doesn't have to be like, well, there's no stop order. A lot of your pain meds, status post surgery, it should be like, this amount based on the PRN given, times 7 days, times 6 days, times 8 days, times 10 days. It doesn't have to be no stop date. And it should not have like a no end date. It should have some kind of pain. And then if you're throwing pain meds in there, make sure you're asking the doctor also for some kind of bowel management. Okay, that goes hand in hand with somebody who's on pain management. Make sure you throw some Miralax in there or whatever. Not you specifically, but ask the doctor, hey, we're gonna put him in narcotics and we add some some bowel management in there. So that we need to start thinking that like outside the box, not just passing meds and doing this and that, doing monitor, but really take a look because that's gonna help you later on. If you have routine pain meds and that PM nurse is already giving pain meds, you don't have to go there at 2 o'clock in the morning like, oh gosh, she's calling again, for pain meds. Maybe because you already gave it at 10:30 at start of your shift, and or the PM nurse already gave it, that should be covered for your whole shift, and you don't have to go there, right? It just really helps. Plus that patient's going to be more comfortable. Um, so make sure we're communicating that med error. As you guys know, we have this med error form right here, right? We're no longer making med error observations in Matrix. We need to make out this form, right? Make sure you jot down, add your nurse's notes, put it in the 24-hour log, right? On the charting, 72. Any event that you do, it's at least 72 hours. Like antibiotics is a monitoring that we do for the however long the antibiotics takes, right? Skin tear 72 hours, mid error 72 hours. So if you're doing a mid error, create a form like this, send an email to JA that there's a mid error. You call the doctor, obviously, you communicate everything, make a nurse's note, and you monitor that patient for at least 72 hours. Okay, and it's gonna be on your 72-hour whatever booklet. Okay, so you're monitoring these residents. Okay. Does anybody have any questions on mid-air? All right. What time is it right now? Yeah, we got 30 minutes. Reconciliation, medication reconciliation. So when you're doing admission, guys, there's one here, that new form here. This is the one that we've also got a survey issue in. If you're doing admission and you have a bunch of over-the-counter stuff for residents, and I want us to really pay attention to OTC stuff. OTC stuff, it's okay, guys. We can buy OTC stuff, right? If a patient has some kind of eye supplement, right, and it's very specific, try to say, hey, you know what, we have something a little different, and then we have it in house supply, right? But it's the same. It's AREDS, but it's AREDS, some like a supplement, some other additional stuff on there. A lot of times they're just buying this over the counter. Their loved ones just bought it anyway. Just say, hey, we have some eye stuff here. We can cover it for you. Otherwise, if you don't and they really want it, you have to write everything down. Okay, if you're doing admission in terms of OTC medication that's not bubble pack, make sure you're reconciling all these meds, all these OTC meds that they're bringing in. So that's why it's really, really important, because a lot of these residents, yes, they have a lot of like supplement. Make sure you call the doctor and say, hey, we don't have it on hand. Can we put a hold on it until they provide us a supply? So, but you should try to talk that resident out from like taking their own supplement, right? Because a lot of those we do have in a different like name, right? And just let them know we're gonna actually pay for it. You don't have to buy it. Just use ours, right? It's gonna help your nurses on the floor. It's gonna create less mid error. But if you're gonna start like taking in whatever they have, that's what we're gonna go through. We're gonna go through a lot of mid error, all right? And we did get a deficiency for this, by the way. And so, but you need to reconcile it. Any meds that they're bringing in, make sure you're reconciling it, right? It's not a bubble pack, it's not through runs. You're taking it from a family member, make sure it's unopened, they're brand new, and then reconcile it. Okay, this is the form for it for admission. Any questions on this, guys? Okay, so we're making good time here. G-tube. So this one was actually a G-tube order. This patient been here. I believe she was in the East Hall. Forget her name. She was here a couple months ago. She had a G. Don't say her name because it's recorded, but you guys know what I'm talking about. There was a patient on the East Hall. She had a G-tube order, and it was and there was an error on the order, and a a registry nurse came in after a couple days of admission, and she found the error. So we obviously fixed it, but it's just I'm just, I guess I'm a little disappointed that the registry found our error instead of our nurses when we're passing meds on a daily basis. Um, so it's just kind of pay attention to what you're giving in terms of meds, because we're gonna talk about med errors as well. We've gotten a lot of issues with med errors lately, and it's just I know things can go really quickly on the floor, and there's a lot of stuff going on, but it's your license that's on the line. You know what I mean? So when you're passing meds, make sure you're taking your time. Also, resource nurse, if you notice that there's orders, double orders, delete it. It doesn't have to be take vitals every shift, and there's another order, take vitals every shift. Delete it. It doesn't have to be doubled. So some nurses, a lot of times when you're doing admission, you're just clicking it off. A lot of times they'll miss it. So if you're passing meds and you feel like there's a double order there, get rid of it. If you have a monitor order that's been there forever and there's really no bruise there, get rid of it. DC it. So you have to do your job as well as nurses on the floor. Help yourself out and kind of take some of this stuff, this fluff out of the orders. There's a lot of fluff that's on there. I look at it and I'm just like, there's a lot of orders in there that are doubled. Doesn't need to be there. It's just cluttering your monitor. We need to start cleaning it up. You know, start. The less you have on there, the better. So if you have medication, like especially OTC, and they're not taking it, make sure within the if they miss it 3 days straight, call a doctor. I don't have it. They're not taking it. I need to put a stop on this, or I need a different order on this, right? Um, Orders for Boost and versus MedPass. So Boost and Insure, guys, you gotta have order for it. We're trying to get away from that, giving all of our resident Boost and Insure. Okay, so we have MedPass. We should be using MedPass. And MedPass, I know it sounds like it's just a supplement that you give for passing meds, but it's actually a supplement that's full of protein and calories. So it's just as it's good or even better than basically Insure. Except Insure is going to cost us a little bit more, and then MedPass is going to be more efficient because we have this great big tub that you can bring in your cart, and then when you're done with it, bring it back in the fridge. So make sure that your cart actually with all your med pass, make sure there's ice on there, so that way you can bring these back. Um, so if you see your CNAs giving resident Insure or Boost, make sure we have an order for it because we don't have a lot of those. So we don't have a lot of Boost or Insure because we're really trying not to use it. Again, MedPass, you should be start to think that, hey, MedPass is just as good as Insure. It's the same. All right, I know it's hard to do because we've been using Insure and Boost for a long time, but it's we're trying to cut those off. Okay. Any questions on that? Okay. Also, if you're a resource nurse, if you're sitting there and you're adding orders, make sure you're putting in the nurse's notes. Just real quickly, even labs, right? Labs are coming in and you got new orders. New labs came in or whatever. Just put a order in there, or a nurse's notes in there. I'm sorry. Okay. Radios, using radios and monitors, CNA communications. There has been some issues with communications with CNAs. Maybe they're going back and forth and yelling at each other. Uh, don't just listen to it. Again, you guys are all resource nurse. You can step in and say, hey, cut it out. Okay, we have a lot of young CNAs. I get it. It's good to have good positive energy in our unit, but you can definitely step in and say, hey, what is all this like yelling and screaming? Stop it, right? It's just like at home, but that's what we have now. Okay, so and I know a lot of our nurses don't understand that they don't, or they're not aware that we have a lot of uh, like kid stuff going on in our unit. That's what we have right now, and I need all of our nurses to kind of step in and say, hey. But also, if you have a individual where a CNA is calling for help and nobody's calling and nobody's picking it up and say, hey, can you guys pick this up? Just step in and say, hey, who's the RNA? It doesn't have to be the resource or the clerk all the time. If it's your hallway and they're calling and they're not getting the help they need, you need to step in as a nurse and help out, either physically or you go on the radio and try to get that help. But we can't have this where CNA calling and calling, calling, nobody's coming to step in. And as nurses, as resource nurses, they see your patient, your hallway, we're just listening to it. Step in and say, hey, where are the CNA? If you see a CNA charting over there, it's okay for you to say, hey, come here. What's that radio? I mean, we've been calling here for 15 minutes, right? So we need to step in and like we're resource nurse, we're nurses, we need to step in and act like one. And it's not just, oh, I have a resource nurse up front. They can take care of it, right? Again, you guys are responsible for your residents in each hallway, so we need to start stepping up as resource nurse or as nurses on the floor. Um, Blood pressure wrist monitor. Please do not use these wrist monitor. We do not use this in our facility. This is something that we do not use. Okay, we've had incidents multiple times where we send residents out because the blood pressure is so low or so high, and a lot of times we're incorrectly using it. We're putting it down here. We're like cutting off the circulation. The blood pressure goes up. These wrist monitor are they're all trash. They're all gonna give you different numbers, so don't use it. Okay, use ours when you're taking blood pressure. Obviously, keep it here, heart level, keep it nice and straight. Anytime you're bending it like this, like most of these nurses are taking blood pressure, you go like this, you're cutting circulation, the blood pressure is going to be pretty high, right? So have the resident put their hands up like this, use our own blood pressure. We just bought two of them, and we're going to buy more. And, these blood pressure monitors range from $2,000 to $3,000 a piece. We don't need this $200 wrist monitor that's throwing off blood pressure. So if you see one, register, use one. Your LVN's using one on the floor. Let them know that we don't use that, because you're gonna end up. I guarantee you're gonna end up sending somebody in the hospital if you're using that. We've seen it many times. Nancy can absolutely tell you all about that. Um, so please don't use that. I already talked about Dr. Shahal, where you really can't get a hold of her on Teams or Elevate. Just give her a call. Same with Dr. Yuhas. Dr. Nassar has some kind of coverage, I guess. He's got an NP that he's brought in. I'm not sure how that's working out. I haven't been, but they should have some kind of username in Matrix as well. Okay. Any questions on and any of that, guys? I know we only got 30 minutes here. We still got 30 minutes. That's good. I'm gonna go over Matrix real quick, and then I'll go over some of the survey results that we've had here. Oh, let me go over survey real quick, and then we'll go over Matrix just in case. Okay. So advanced directive. We got a deficiency for advanced directive. One of our patients did not have advanced directive. So yeah. So and I think this is something that Joanna has been working on, and it's just that like some patients don't wanna create an advanced directive, but we had to be. I guess it's an our end to make sure that we're jotting it down. That hey, right, we spoke with them, we asked them, we can assist, and if they continue to decline, then we need to note it. Um, but we got one on that transfers and discharge, missing discharge notice or bed hold. Every patient has to have some form of discharge or bed hold form. Just send it to them. And then in your nurse's notes, when you do discharge, the resident was transferred to the hospital, bed hold form was given. Okay, the bed hold, if you're a new nurse, the patient has the right to come back. But if they've been to the hospital after 7 days, then we can technically say no to the readmit, right? But you have to like basically give them the bed hold document. Are you familiar with the bed hold form?
Um, no, when you sent out one of the residents here the other day,
Yeah.
I thought that it was automatically uploaded when you transferred
Okay,
her over
good.
to the hospital.
Good. Yeah. So these forms are really important, and even if you went to CAF a couple years ago, they were talking about this, how important it is. But it gives the patient and the family members an option to come back to the facility. So because not us, but some facilities, if they don't like you, they're not going to admit you back. They're going to say, you know what, you're not coming back, and that's illegal. That's illegal. If it's within 7 days and they want to come back, you should be taking your resident back. So we don't do that, none of that in here, but um, that's what they're trying to prevent, right? Is any of that. So also the transfer form, the triplicate form. Try to do that when I can't like I can't remember now, but it seems like in the last 2 years they've been asking for those triplicate form, the transfer form. So make sure we're filling out this transfer form as well. Okay. We had some survey issue with MDS and coding. We had some missing baseline care plans. Also, foreign language, right? A patient that is a foreign language speaking, we need to have a care plan for him. Make sure you guys are opening a foreign language line. And then also under the admission order, and I'll show you that here in Matrix in a bit. But there is an order that says you can call this number if you need to communicate with this resident. So basically, you call a number and you can translate. This guy is over the phone is going to translate whatever language that patient is speaking, right? And in a speaker. So if you need to communicate with somebody who speaks Vietnamese and there's nobody speaking Vietnamese, you call the language line. They'll be able to help you. Okay, he's saying go pound sand or something like that. I don't know. I don't want to take my meds, right? So just know that we have that number available for you in the order under the orders. Um, we had some issues with condom catheter. This one, there was an order, but apparently the resident was like, "Hey, I didn't want the condom cath," even though he did say that he wants a condom cath, and but we weren't really clear what it's for. So and we didn't have like a good like care plan for it, so we got dinged for that. RNA orders not performed. We had an order to provide RNA orders for a resident, and some parts were missing. So we got in trouble for that. Bottom bladder was a big one, where 7 days. If the patient got admitted within the first 7 days, we should be doing assessment for these residents, right? Are they continent or incontinent, right? After 7 days, your nurses or whoever's doing following up with care plan, we should be trying to add care plan. If the patient is incontinent and has the ability to be continent, what kind of interventions are you guys adding? That's where care plan comes in. So the bowel and bladder assessment is basically the CNAs are filling it out, and then we're coming in and figuring out, hey, this patient was incontinent, but is she showing signs of continency? So let's go ahead and intervene and put some interventions on there, put them in the toilet every shift or whatever, reposition an alpha toilet or whatever you got to do, right? Whatever intervention you got to do to make him continent, right? Antibiotics was given with calcium, so that's contraindicated. That one was kind of weird because I feel like they dinged us for um, what was it? The calcium, huh? The calcium carbonate, yeah, with calcium carbonate, you can't give that with any med, especially antibiotics, 1 hour before or after. But I think they were saying the regular calcium is one of the nurses. No, it's like John, like they were telling me that you can't get antibiotics with osteocal. So I'm like, are you sure it wasn't like calcium carbonate? He's like, no, it was the regular 500 osteocal, 500 calcium. They said that that was contraindicated. So gotta look a little bit more into that. But like, I don't know of a supplement calcium just by itself that you can't give that with antibiotics. No, yeah, but I know calcium carbonate, right? You can't give any kind of antacid with antibiotic or any meds, right? Yeah, it should be like an hour, 1 hour before or after. That one is a given, but just your regular calcium. But again, we had some newbies in terms of these surveyors, so it's hard to fight those guys once they say it is, and then it is what it is. So, but that one, I'm gonna look into that again because I felt like one of the nurse said when I talked about it, I said, "Are you sure it's just regular calcium?" That yeah, it was literally she was telling me that you can't give it with the osteocal. So it was crazy. All right, and then another one is the oxycodone given but did not reconcile. So we had a medication that was given. It was written on the piece of paper, but it didn't show up on the mark. So this is why I'm doing my audits with narcotics to make sure that when you're giving medication, make sure it's reflecting everywhere on the matrix, not only on the paper but also matrix. Um, and then what is this MRR? Oh, we had some issues too with antibiotics that didn't have a stop date, but I mean that was like we've had notes on that this is for this reason. They got us anyway, so I feel like this one was we were screwed either way with this one. We had a lot of like notes from doctors saying that we could continue the antibiotics for this reason because he's got osteomyelitis, but they got us anyway. So there's certain things that like with surveyors that you just can't fight. You're just gonna have to eat it. Just like in baseball, right? Like just eat it, just eat it. They can't throw it. You're gonna get in trouble with the same thing here. It's just like you're screwed either way. You know what I mean? Infection control. We had two residents that came in and we didn't give them wipes or sanitize their hands before a meal. So that's an issue. Okay. Narcotics. When we were looking at narcotics before even surveys got here, our narcotics sheet looked like a 5-year-old like drew in it. There was blue and pink and green stuff on there. When you're writing, when you're signing off on documents, guys, it's got to be black ink. Okay, and then if you made an error, just put one line in there, right? And I know we have like a lot of new nurses and stuff like that, and we're all very busy. But it looks like somebody scribbled in here, and then there's just writing everywhere. Tells you to go down here. It's missing down here. It's the craziest thing. If that situation comes in like that, maybe ask your resource nurse come to me, come to John. Maybe we'll put a new narcotic sheet in there, right? So it doesn't look so so weird, right? It doesn't look like somebody made stuff up. Also, if you're throwing away narcotics, it's got to be two nurses, right? Any narcotics, that is being wasted, you'll have two nurses sign off on it. Um, Remember the narcotics for discharge that all goes to jaw. If the resident wants to go home with it, you need an order for it. Okay, the only narcotics that we waste in the incinerator is like a half a pill or one pill that's being spat out with the resident. We can put it in the incinerator. Otherwise, your narcotics goes to jaw. Okay. um Expired OTC meds, make sure that we're really looking at our OTC. A lot of them are expired. We have a lot of eye drops that were unlabeled, just like a patient was discharged. These things are like literally like 25 cents or whatever. If a patient had like was discharged, just get rid of it. You know what I mean? Don't try to save it for another resident, right? I'm gonna give a good example right here. Lido patch. We had this is I believe we caught this um, before surveyors got here. There was an order for a 4% lidocaine patch, house stock. There was a resident that was discharged in the same hallway, and she had a 5%, and we were using the 5%. So our pharmacist caught it before surveyor got here, but again, like this is it's already paid for. Just get rid of it. Like you don't have an order for it because 4% is a house stock and 5% is prescription, right? Totally different. Totally different. Um, Temp fridge. Make sure we're checking the temperature for the fridge. And then I've been doing audits, guys, also on the South Hall. Since that's a split in the middle of the night, there's two nurses in there. We have to figure out who's signing what, because I feel like we have two nurses and it's a split hall and nobody's signing in for. There's times there's people signing it, but there's times when um and we have you as a knock nurse here, so maybe you can tell us. But there's times when we have two nurses and nobody signs in. Whoever counts should be signing it, right? And then also, who does the blood sugar monitor, the checking, who the glucometer? How do you guys work that out?
Yeah, I think we should work that out again. But mostly, we like Nadia. When Nadia is here, she comes and she does everything. So we like Nadia,
Yeah.
we need to help, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
she does everything. So sometimes she's here and maybe she did not do it, but we assume she did it. So
Yeah.
I think we're gonna talk and just know like who's
Right.
gonna be doing this work.
Okay, so this is how we're gonna do it. If the South nurse counts, they count the narcotic, right? They sign off narcotic. Whoever didn't count gets to do the glucometer. Okay, so that's how we're gonna. That's how we're gonna. That's how at least I'm gonna do the audit, because I feel like there's two nurses there, and if Nadia's not working, then like if two nurses are like, oh, Nadia's not here, then we're just gonna miss it or whatever. And it's not that you guys are choosing to miss it, but you just forget, because Nadia does it so much.
Yeah.
So I think if you're counting narcotics, you make sure you're signing off on it, and then whoever didn't count in the South Hall, it's gonna have to do the glucometer. So is this thing still recording? Yeah. So that's how we're gonna do it. There was also an issue with like the Miralax. Okay, so the Miralax. The surveyor asked, how do you give the Miralax? And so there's an actual line there where you twist off the Miralax, the little like cap, and it's to like lock the Miralax. So there's a line, but there's also a second line where you should be measuring the amount of Miralax powder. So, and I think one of our nurses got confused where she thought, oh, I thought this is where the line is. So if you're confused or whatever, look at the direction or ask one of your nurses that's been working for a while, because I think we were using the lines to lock the Miralax cap as basically an indicator to the dosage, when really there's another line right above it that says this is where a full cap should be. So little things like that. It's not anything. It is pretty significant though. If a patient is on routine narcotics and they're having constipation issue, and we give them half a Miralax instead of a full Miralax, that could be an issue. Okay. And then the last one here before we go to Matrix, guys, go over call outs with registry. I think I went over that already. I said thank you because I think Yvonne was mostly responsible for making this folder, right? Yeah. So Yvonne, who's going per diem, by the way, guys, I'm very sad that she's going per diem because she's done a lot for us, but she's made this nice book for your resource nurses. If you have questions or whatever, you can look through here. So this is our remembrance of Yvonne. This is amazing. Yeah, this is great, right? So that's why I said thank you, Yvonne. All right, well, I'm gonna go over Matrix real quick, guys. I know we have 15 minutes. I'm gonna go over real quickly. Write down the stuff that you like, that you're like, hey, I need more training on that. Okay. Any questions, by the way, on anything?
Yeah, dude.
Yes.
This number for the like the foreign language, it's a like a 24/7.
Yes, yes, sir. I'll show you. I'll show you that right now.
There's two.
Here's the language line. Every resident has this. Okay, you see this under orders. This is this resident here, and then other orders right here. Language line for non-English speaking resident, and you have that number right there. Okay, you call that number. Let's just say it's like Mandarin Chinese or something like that. It's like, hey, I don't have anybody here to speak Chinese. You call this number, you bring the speaker over to the resident, they'll translate for you. Okay. But we also if somebody is like that, a foreign speaking resident, that we have a care plan for you. I think we got in trouble for a care plan, not having a care plan for that resident. So what are our interventions, right? Like usually care plan is just basically saying you got somebody that doesn't speak English. What are you guys doing for her? You know, are we doing sign language? I mean, are we using this all the time? Are we using a board? You know, how do you communicate with this resident, right? Are we calling a specific nurse, right? So that's going to be really important. All right, let's go here. Nurses notes and templates. If you're adding orders, guys, I know most of us in here, if you go in here and the resident and their orders, again, I'm just going to go over this real quickly, okay? So write notes if you need help on it. Under orders, you add an order. You can either do prescription right here or general, or you have these orders already made out. For example, Tylenol, there's a bunch of orders under that Tylenol there. Catheter, there's a couple of orders under catheter. If there's something there that you want to add and say, hey, you know what, I add this order all the time, can you make it out? It's a template. It's already a template that's made out for you. Okay, but a lot of times all we're using really is this prescription right here, and or the general or the lab radiology. But we have all these stuff down here, IV orders, nebulizer, that's on there. Okay. Let's see here. Any questions on that? We can talk about it later. Sorry. Updating orders to reflect diet. We also, you see this resident here, under, we can go back under dashboard, resident. Let's go to EMR real quick here. And this is going to help your per diem nurses. Also, it's going to help us just like work more efficiently, right? So you see this resident right here. You have a per diem or a registry. You're like, how does this resident eat? Like, take meds. Usually, right here in diet administration or whatever, administration instruction, you should say like crushed or thin liquid, right? And yeah. So I know we just had an upgrade, but the way to add that on there is you just literally go under orders and administration notes. Okay, this information right here, don't put anything on there because it doesn't work. So if you put something there, it won't show up. So right here, under edit, administration notes, I don't know, is she whole or she's crushed, right? Crushed thin liquid? Does anybody know?
What's that?
Bicova? No?
Nobody knows.
Um,
In this room.
All right, so no one knows. Okay, so let's just say, I'll just put high in here, right? Or no one knows. Crush. I'll fix it later. So I'll just show you right here. So now if you go back to MAR, right? If you're passing your meds or whatever, under Bicova, it says crush right here. Okay. Also, guys, if you have an order, you want your CNAs to see it, you're gonna have to profile the orders, okay? And then you're gonna have to tell them, just say, hey, I profiled an order so you can see it. And then this doesn't have to be a resource. You don't have to run to the resource node and say, hey, can you profile it? You can do it on your own when you're passing your meds and you feel like there's a significant order that says, hey, take this resident to the bathroom every 2 hours and I want my CNA to see it. You see this resident profile right here? Resident profile, you can show that to them. And then go under profile orders, right? RN ambulation program 3 times a week, right? And restore it right here. It says resident profile. This is how your CNAs will be able to see it. They click that and walk to them. They see exactly, if they click this right here, they'll see that. And then we'll go here, resident profile orders. Okay, but so if you go back to orders, And medication you can't profile. Okay, so like this is right here, bed and chair alarms for safety. You go here and then you edit. You get at the very bottom, include in profile. If you click that, your CNAs will be able to see it. So I'm always like, I'm always surprised, like when I show this to the nurses, because I feel like I show it all the time. They're like, oh, that's how you do it. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, I mean the nursing, the POC right here. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, this is not as effective as the ones that's like down here where they can actually see it, the profile. You profile the order. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Nancy, please, come on. I show you this all the time. Come on, every week. Get out of here. Yeah, yeah. If you want them to see it, just say, hey, look under profile orders for your resident before, like, just start training them, right? Just say, make sure you look under profile orders. It's on there, right? So I know it's gonna take us a while, but it's just communicating and with nurses, if we're able to carry it out, then just communicate with your CNA, right? The more communication we do, the better we're gonna be. So any questions on how to do that, right? Just remember the little waffle right here, right? You can go back and forth on these, right? You have orders. You can even look at POC for CNAs. How are they charting, right? You click POC right here, and you should be able to click here, and you should be able to see how your CNAs are charting under POC. Okay, you have those abilities. Okay, um, reviewing or the administration. So if you're giving a medication, right, and you're just like, hey, I need to know what has been given the last 7 days, right? You go back to MAR, go back to EMAR, right? Because I think this was an issue before, but I think a lot of our nurses already knows this. But you go back to Bicova, and then you go back to active orders. You go to active orders, and then it'll tell you right here, administration history within the last 14 days. Okay, and then you can also resupply right here. Okay. Now, if you want to see more than 14 days, like I was like, that's not enough, man. I need to see like what was given like a month ago, or I need to do an audit of my medic because like I want to fix, I want to edit what I gave, right? If you want to do that and you're doing audits, you can go under resident orders right here, and at the very bottom right here, guys, amend administration, right? And then you can go back for a whole month, right? You pick and choose what month you're in. So any resident that's been here, that's been discharged, or it may be active resident, you can edit their orders for up to 90 days. So previously, discharged resident, we only had 30 days, but I've changed that all to 90 days. So that way we have a chance. Again, we have a medical record that's coming in, that's stepping in this month and like the 15th or 16th. So we're gonna have a lot of audits coming in. Your weekly summary audits are gonna be coming in as well. So make sure you guys are doing your weekly summary, please. Right here, if you go back, let's just say 2 days or whatever, from 9/1 or 30 days, right? September to 9/30, and you search, it'll search all your meds right here, and then you click amend here. It'll give you for 30 days. These are all PRN, right? These are all PRN. So, but for example, you have like I have 1,000 medication here, right? I want to look for aspirin. You control F, aspirin. At the top over there, that's the wrong spelling. Aspirin, right? So aspirin comes out right here, yellowed out. Okay, because you can have a ton of meds right here, but control F, and then it'll give you that little search engine right here. It'll pop you to the aspirin right here, and then now you can click, and then it tells you who gave who. Albert La, and also if you missed it here, it'll say miss here. Okay, and so you can go back and amend it. You're only able to amend stuff on the days when it was either missed or you gave. Okay, within the last 90 days. So don't wait on your audit like 120 days, because literally like audit should be done within like a week, right? Any questions on that? Again, I'm sorry I can't help you right now, but I'll help you out later. So just write it down, please. Repeating orders. Again, like if you're passing meds and you see repeating orders like Tech Vitals like multiple times, delete one of them. Try to delete some of these orders that are in there repeating. Clean out your MAR. And don't wait for your resource nurse to do it, because they have so many things to do that might not be able to see it. So I need all of our nurses that are passing meds to look at all your MAR. If like these resident here, check it. Like you can go under orders, like all these look good, And then, but you come down here, there's a whole bunch of orders here that are kind of like funky, looking weird. Like, what the heck? I'm checking daily weights and weekly weights. Let's go take a look at that. Maybe we can DC one of them, right? So, or take vitals, like every shift. It's on there 3 times. I see that all the time. Delete one of them, right? So, you don't need to be putting in your vitals 2 or 3 times in one shift. It's just like a lot. All right.
Like somebody on the antibiotic, like a skilled patient, antibiotics and vital every shift.
Yeah. So if they're already on skilled, yeah, you could, because you're doing every shift for Medicare charting, and then now you're gonna do antibiotics every shift for 7 days. Well, it's covered on the 30-day Medicare charting already. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Instead of, because your nurses on the floor, they're gonna be overwhelmed with all these vitals order. You know what I mean? So it just helps them out. Opening events for infection control. So if you any events, remember any events should be at least 72 hours. So not only are you putting in the 24-hour communication log, you're putting on each folder that you're monitoring this patient. But some events are longer than others, right? So make sure you're opening events. Obviously, there's observations, there's events for infection. Make sure you're opening infection events, right? So our medical record is going to be running reports on events and infection every day. So he's going to give us a report basically that said, hey, these are your events that was opened up in the last 24 hours. These are all your infection report that has been opened up in the last 24 hours. So make sure that you do events, you can open up infection events as well, right? Anybody who's in, they don't have to start on antibiotics. It could be just somebody showing a fever, right? And then you're doing labs or whatever. Just open up an event for that potential for this or whatever, right? So that way we know there's change of condition. We're gonna start doing that. We're gonna start talking about it on a stand up. This patient, these events was open in the last 24 hours. Care planning, I can't spend too much on care planning, guys, but REI obviously is care planning is right here under care plan. This is a good view right here for care plan. You control F, again, you control F and you can look for whatever care plan you're looking for. But REI under care planning down here is a different view. Obviously right here is a different view. This is the older view. And I don't know too many people are kind of using this, but you do. Okay. Yeah.
I do it.
Okay.
I don't like the new one.
Okay, you don't like the new one. Okay.
This is the one I'm used to, and I can do this faster.
Okay. But there's 2 ways to kind of view that. I'm gonna set up a meeting with Matrix where they're gonna sit down with us and go over how to care plans. So that hopefully that's coming soon, and we're gonna record it. So I have a lot of recordings in terms of Matrix goes. Just that like it's pretty like a lot of them is like 1 hour or more. Matrix profiles. If you need to take a look at your, I don't know, there's facility right here. You can view facility, or you can go on my profile. You have my profile right here as well. Okay, and remember there's messages and stuff like that right here. You can send messages to nurses as well. Okay, and if you're not seeing nurses in the morning, you want to send them a message, you can go under my messages and you can create messages in here, and click control and you can send messages to multiple people. Okay, so I guess you use that all the time. Yeah. So and obviously I don't get any message from anybody, so nobody wants to reach out to me. I get no. I don't have a I don't get LOL. You know, I want to get LOL. Okay. GG charting. Okay, this one right here, guys, if you're passing meds, right, you see an order that says complete GG charting. It's not just clicking and then you complete the GG charting. It's actually going to resident and going to observations and then opening, adding observation, and then there's GG right here. You control F, and then there's GG discharge and there's admission. So remember, GG charting is for the first 3 days you're doing admission, and then the last 3 days before discharge is you also GG charting, right, for discharge. Not discharge from the facility, but discharge from Medicare or whatever insurance they're in. Okay, so you're opening this up, and you're literally just like, if you can do a preview as well down here, right? And then you can say here GG charting 3rd day discharge or whatever, or admission, but it's just clicking off. So we got to be able to do that. And then my next audit with the gentleman that's helping us, and I was going to be the GG charting. So these GG charting applies for all you new admits, and it doesn't matter whether Medicare or not Medicare. but they get this GG charting for all of them. Okay, so please make sure you're not only clicking off on the MAR that you did it, but you're opening up an observation. Okay, and I think some of our nurses kind of confused that, hey, I did my GG charting, I clicked it off. No, you got to open observation. Okay. Fall events, opening events. With the fall events, remember that there's an observation. There's an actual event that you open up, but there's also an observation, which is the actual event is like you're filling out the event for the fall, but the observation is like you're investigating why the resident fell. This is where your CNA actually like, and this is called post fall, right? And you click Control F on fall here, and you're gonna have fall right here. You have post fall observation right here. So make sure that we are opening that. What is this? Fall risk. Oh, it's fall risk. This is for admission. This risk right here, we don't do the observation for risk because it's already been opened up from admission. But after a fall, you do an event and then you do an observation. Okay, and we have a whole packet on fall, but it takes you like step by step on what you need to do in terms of what you need to complete. Adding preventative orders. I was showing Sam this when you're adding orders, and you add an order and it's a prescription order. Let's just say it's prescription right here, down here, whatever it is. So the new matrix will give you like will make you like give you option. Do you want to add this in your preventative measure and your preventative healthcare, right? So that way when you're like, let's just say PPD, when you're doing the read, you don't have to manually put it to the preventative healthcare. It automatically does it for you. So if it's a PPD or a vaccine or whatever, make sure you're clicking one of these right here. It's an automatic add-on. Okay, so Sam doesn't have to do it, or maybe the nurses on the floor doesn't have to do it. It automatically populates it for you. Okay, so preventative healthcare is right there.
It doesn't have the COVID vaccine. If you look down, you have tests and results, but it's not one for the vaccine itself.
Oh, I think we should be able to add that. I'll see if I can add that. Okay, let's see if we can add that. Yeah, good. View profile of smart. Okay, let's go back to passing meds real quick, guys, because I'm like jumping back and forth here. We're going back to MedPass here. If you're passing meds and you're looking for a resident and you're just like, what room number is she? She's 28. If you put 28 here, it'll pop up with 28 right here. Okay, this is your smart search button. Okay, now if you have you want to just see the do buttons, right? You have do meds right here, right? It'll come up with do meds. If you want to see all your late orders, you can do late order. You show you all your late orders. But let's just say, hey, you know what? I only want to see what late orders are because I just came in. I came in late. You go here to do. You get rid of the do, and it'll come up with all your late. There's nothing late right now. Okay, but obviously it's a good button to kind of use and help you with searching for resident. Okay, right here, this will hide it. There's another button right here that tells you what's done and what's not done. Let's see what else. Smart search button, and then I'll go over real quickly, guys. Does anybody have any questions on that on MedPass here? I'll go over data manager just real quickly. I know we're going over here, but this is going to help our resource nurse. Also, for some of us that's passing meds, just think of Matrix as it's like AT&T and a Verizon, right? So there's two big like company, right? They gather information. Same thing with Matrix. We're signed up with these two companies, and all these data from the hospitals, wherever their patients go, they give it to these two companies. We're signed up with those two companies. It's Gorilla Monkey or whatever it's called. So when admin adds a census in there, right, in terms of resident, the matrix automatically populates information from the hospital. And so from our upgrade, this is what we got from our upgrade. So you're able to transition their face sheet information, their ICD-10, their allergies, and all their meds, right? So if you're doing admission, you'll be able to transition all their meds from the hospital to your matrix, okay? But also, let's just say you have a resident and you're just like, I don't have any information on this resident, and it's a new resident. You go under, you can go under dashboard. You can go under facility or inbox right here, and then you have all these documents right here, right? Like for example, Shelly McKinney, right? Maybe she just got added on. If you click on view, it'll give you all these documents right here. Like she was at Scripps and they have 27 documents. So if you click Scripps and then you click the continuity of care and you go under save, it'll save it under the resident tab under their resident documents. Okay. But if you click this right here, the continuity of care is the one that's complete with diagnosis, medication, allergies. That's the one that you want to reconcile in terms of medication that you wanna reconcile over to your matrix. If you click save and reconcile, it'll automatically, like, it'll start to generate information on this resident. Let's just save and reconcile, right? So it's gonna do this, and then now, so with this guy right here, it's telling you this is what we have from the hospital. This is what you have in matrix. Do you want to change that? You can say no, 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 or yes, yes, yes. It'll change all of these right here, which is existing in matrix, and change it to that, right? Like on our matrix, we don't know whether he's like married or single, but from the hospitals, he's single, right? For diagnosis, with the new matrix, they found that a reimbursement rate is going to be between 10 to 20% more because we're adding more diagnosis. So Satomi found out that, hey, you know what? Yeah, there is a lot more stuff on there, right? And so, but this is more specific for us. But you have an option to either say, okay, I want this or I don't want that, right? In terms of ICD-10, right? You can transfer it all and pop it back to matrix. In terms of allergies goes, the allergies that right now there's no known allergies, is pretty much the same. If you have 20 allergies here and 20 here, if they're not all the same, like if it says penicillin here and PCN over here, it's gonna say it's gonna act like they're two different ones. It has to be the same, right? But you can also add allergies right here. So not only you have this list, you have that list, but you can also add it on and it'll pop it over here. So it's a good way to kind of reconcile these meds. With medication, guys, it'll probably like turn and turn. So it'll tell you that these are the meds. You can transfer it over. But all these meds right here, you have to complete the whole thing. Like you either say continue or discontinue, or like for example right here, it stopped, and then or this one you can edit, and it won't let you go forward unless you complete all of these right here, right? This one you can either stop or continue. Tylenol 500 milligram. Do you want to continue? If you press continue, it'll bring it over here. At the very bottom, once you're done with all of this reconciliation, you can click this. You acknowledged it, and then you click acknowledge, and then it's gonna pop over to resident orders, and then over here it says unverified. You have to verify every single one of them, right? Or you can go under facility and then unverified orders, and you can just verify all of them all at once. But like best practice should be going through resident orders and verifying each one of them one by one. Okay, so it's one of those where you have to kind of just play around with it. If admission starts the search menu, it'll search it for you, right? For example, right here, you can actually go to resident face sheet and do the same thing. You can do document search and it'll search it for you. So if you click this button here and go under facility and inbox, it'll start searching it for you, right? So right here, we started reconciliation for this resident already. So that's why it's got that reconcile button. You can't view it anymore. So for example, I'm like, I still want to view it. Like I don't have a way to view it. You just go back to resident face sheet right here, and then just search the document, and then now you can view all these data from the hospital again, right? Because reconciliation means you're just taking all this information and now you can transfer it over and you can't view it, right? But if you want to view it again, just click the search button again, and it starts doing the search for you. Okay. So that's data management. Hopefully it'll be a good like help for our admissioners and um, however way you can use it, you know. Um, but if you need help, you need to sit down with me. I'll go over with you how to do MedPass or whatnot. Um, I know there's a lot of stuff on here, but there's more stuff in there in terms of AI that I haven't even looked at yet. So I'm gonna look at that and then I'll see if it can help us as a team. I know you guys came in kind of late, but I have another meeting later. I'll go over the same thing. Okay, because I know the knock nurses have to leave. So thanks for coming in, man. Thank you, Jose, for coming in. Any questions, guys? I know I'm trying to leave, but I'm trying to answer your question. Yeah. Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks.